In modern JavaScript, if you want to have a function with varying number of parameters, you can use the REST operator. Let me show you how that works. So here we modify the declaration of this function, add a parameter, let's call it args, and then prefix it with 3 dots. This is what we call the REST operator. Now don't confuse this with the spread operator, because spread operator looks exactly the same. Earlier we used the spread operator with arrays. So with the spread operator, we can spread an array, which basically means taking its individual elements. But when we use this along with the parameter of a function, we refer to this as the REST operator. And you will know why this is called REST in a second. So let's see how the REST operator works. I'm going to delete all this code and simply do a console.log of args. So here we're calling this function with 6 arguments. Save the changes. Now here on the console, you can see args is an array of 6 elements. This is a real array. Note that if I remove these 3 dots, that basically means this function has a single parameter called args. So when I save the changes, instead of this array, you're going to see 1 because the first argument that we're passing to this function is 1. Save the changes, we get 1. So here's the lesson. When we apply the REST operator to a parameter of a function, we can pass varying number of arguments, and the REST operator will take all of them and put them in an array. Now, if you want to get the sum of all the numbers in an array, we can use the reduce method. You learned about that in the section about arrays. So args is an array. We can call the reduce method and pass an arrow function here. A and B goes to A plus B. You've done this before, right? So we simply return the result. Save the changes, and we get 25. So you see, in modern JavaScript, we can achieve the same functionality with less code. Instead of defining a total variable, setting it to 0, and then looping over the arguments object, we can have one line of code that gives us the same thing. And this is more elegant and more professional. Now let's take this example to the next level. Imagine we're going to use this function to calculate the total cost of items in a shopping cart. Here, let's say we want to have a discount factor. So I'm going to add a parameter here, discount, and then rename args to, let's say, prices. So we're passing the price of all the items in a shopping cart. Now let's change line 8 where we call the sum function. Let's say we're going to pass 0.1 or 10% for the discount, and we have 2 products in our shopping cart with prices $20 and $30. So here, instead of returning the sum of all the items in the prices array, we're going to store the sum here in total. We don't need this anymore. And then we want to return total times 1 minus discount. So if discount is 0.1, we subtract it from 1, we get 0.9. Then we multiply it by the total, and this will return the final price after the discount is applied. Save the changes, so we get 45. Now let me show you something. I'm going to add one parameter after prices. Let's call that sum value. Now on line 7, where we call this function, let's pass a new value like 1. Save the changes, we get this error. REST parameter must be last formal parameter. So we cannot have a parameter after using the REST operator. So here, prices is a REST parameter, so it should be the last parameter in a function. Let's remove this. And this is the reason we call this REST, because we can have 0 or more parameters before this. In this case, we have discount. So we have discount and the rest of the parameters or the rest of the arguments that are passed to this function. That's the reason this operator is called the REST operator.